Duce Staley is leaving the Detroit Lions.
Yes. Yeah, it has been said that Duce Staley is going to join Frank Reich's staff in Carolina. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be, but there it is from Dan Graziano. He says, per sources, Lions assistant head coach and running backs coach Duce Staley is leaving to join Frank Reich's staff on the Carolina Panthers. So I'm not sure if that means they're going to bump him to the OC role. I'm not sure what that means for Duce Staley, but he is out of town as of today. He is gone, and he'll not be a part of the staff anymore. The running backs coach position is something that could easily be filled. There are a lot of great candidates out there, I'm sure. But what comes down to it is the assistant head coach. Mm-hmm. Who do you think gets bumped up to that role as assistant head coach?
I mean, that's a good question. I got to assume it's Ben Johnson, right? I mean, he's the one that's literally gone out and interviewed for head coaching jobs.
Maybe Aaron Glenn?
Aaron Glenn. It's one of those roles, and I'm not 100% like sure how it works when it comes to like NFL head coaching, but like assistant head coach, I almost feel like could be anyone. You know, I don't know if that's like a specified role. I don't. Maybe it's just someone who takes over like the duties in case of a firing or illness or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I gotta assume, you know, in preparation to keep Ben Johnson or to sell him on staying here a bit, is that, you know, Dan Campbell explained to him his situation with Sean Payton in New Orleans. It's like, hey, I was groomed like for a head coaching job. You know, I wasn't just given it. I wasn't just, you know, from coordinator to head coaching job. He actually was never even a coordinator. Yeah. He was always, it's kind of the same role that Duce Staley is, one of those more motivational guys. And I'm assuming it's got to be Ben Johnson. It does suck, though, because Duce was one of those voices in the room.
Oh, for sure. It does. So Duce was obviously a vocal leader on the team. He's very important to the success of the Lions offense. You see what happened when he got, you know, his hands on Jamal Williams, and obviously a lot of the credit goes, or most of the credit goes to Ben Johnson, their play calling, and Jamal Williams himself, but Duce Staley plays a big role in that because he works with them on a day-to-day basis. He instills confidence in those guys, and we saw during Hard Knocks just what he brings to the table with him and Aaron Glenn going at it, screaming at each other, having that kind of thing is not lost on players when you have that competition between coaching staff. So it is a big role to fill. That is a guy who was a big part of this team, both vocally and what he did in the coaching room. So it does suck to see him go, but all the best of luck to him. Hopefully Carolina loses every game next year. Hopefully he finds success. I'm sure what he did was the best move for him and his family, and all the best of luck to Coach Staley. We loved you with your time when you shared your time with us here, and we hope for the best for you.
Yeah, so many facts surrounding the situation make it make sense to where, like, you look at Duce Staley, born and raised in South Carolina. He has a existing relationship with Frank Reich. When Frank Reich won the Super Bowl and with Philadelphia as an offensive coordinator, Duce Staley was the running backs coach there as well. But my biggest question in this is, yeah, sure, who's going to replace him? And we're going to name some candidates there as well. But also, is this a lateral move? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I don't, all due respect to Duce Staley, I've never seen him or sought him out as an offensive coordinator type. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen him if he were to excel in a head or a coaching role, would be as a head coach. Yeah. So I'm curious as if this is like a lateral move, or if it's like a step up. And if it's not as an offensive coordinator, what is that role? Is it a passing game coordinator? Like, is that level up?
Sure.
From, you know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't say that's a level up. I think the biggest step up he could take would be to offense coordinator or head coach.
And the reason why it's such a question for me is I'm not questioning Detroit's culture. I don't think that's like in any – I don't think that's threatened to go away anytime soon. But I know that when he made the lateral movement from Philly to Detroit, it was a culture situation, you know, one where he felt like he was kind of like disrespected in terms of like his leadership role with the team. And I'm hoping that's not the same scenario here.
I doubt it is. You saw Dan Campbell had a lot of riding on his influence, had a lot of confidence in what he brought to the table, what he said meant to the team, and he was obviously a very vocal and important part of that locker room. So I doubt he felt disrespected in any way. We've never heard anything like that coming out of their camp. So I expect, like I said, it was just a better paying opportunity, maybe one that offered a little bit more responsibility, something that he'd like to do, and he took the chance. And that's what happens when you're a good coach, when you have a good coaching staff, you're going to lose some pieces.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see like what the fine details are, because I know nothing came out as reported as like him being disgruntled and stuff like that, but I don't think anything would. because they're kind of like they kept quiet.
Yeah.
The situation with
Aubrey Pleasant.
came out of the blue. Came out of nowhere. And the only reason why the one thing or scenario I could paint where maybe he was a little bit disgruntled is the fact that Ben Johnson was a candidate to become head coach, and they paid him money to come back and be the offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking maybe is that a situation Duce looked at and was like, hey, why was I not good enough to fulfill that role in a situation where he left, or now he's coming back as not as tenured as me, and now he's damn for sure probably making more money than him now too. And I'm not saying that's a situation, but I'm just trying to figure out why he would leave Detroit. I guess South Carolina stuff and his existing relationship with Frank Reich. I'm not 100% sure. You had your hand up though, Chris. What were you going to ask?
Yeah, you guys kind of touched on this, so I don't know if you want to elaborate more on it, but my first thought with this was the whole Ben Johnson. Now, obviously not the only reason Ben Johnson stayed was to see it through, but that was some of the pitch that was told to us in the reporting, is that not only is he getting some type of raise, but he also wants to see this thing through, see what the Lions are building. And so I got to wonder if at the end of the day, do you think guys like Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are a little hurt by this? Because it feels like they were really the pillars of changing the Detroit Lions culture. Let's be real. The task of this regime was to totally change and undo 50, 60 years of Lions culture. And these guys want to see it through. So do you think there's any part of them that's a little bit hurt by that?
The players and
the players and the coaches. Particularly the coaches.
Yeah. I think you would. Again, because this is you heard of the relationship in Hard Knocks between Duce Staley and Aaron Glenn. And in some sort of ways, too, outside of, helping Jamal have his best season yet. And a little bit's probably Ben Johnson as well with his advanced, blocking schemes. But I feel like he brought the best out of AG in those, little battles,
mm-hmm.
talking that ish back and forth. It's going to, beam you up and beam up the rest of the team, to shut Duce up. We'll see in the long run, obviously. We'll find out. But I am just – what are you going to say, JB?
No, I was just going to add a little bit more, too. I know that, Duce Staley is leaving as well, too. But you guys know that Arizona job, the head coaching job, is still available as well, too, since Sean Payton is now with the Broncos. Are you guys scared that AG might leave as well, too? Now you have two coaching positions you have to refill in the offseason?
I don't think so. I don't think AG is going to go anywhere. I think he's very comfortable under Dan Campbell. I think he wants to get some more time cooking up with that defense that he has. I'm not too worried about AG leaving. It would suck if he left for sure, but I think he's going to be around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to draw up any drama or anything like that, but I'm just trying to connect the dots. There are other facts, again, that he was born in Carolina. I know somebody commented in the Woodward Sports chat that they read that he wanted to go return home so he could take care of his mom. I think you also throw in there that he's won a Super Bowl alongside Frank Reich. You know what I'm saying? And being in charge, and maybe he's trying to find that again. I mean, as much as you'd love to see, you got to see it through, my boy, the Detroit Lions. Your memory of this guy is winning a ring. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. In terms of names to replace him, though, have you guys looked into any of that stuff yet? I know I have an article on my computer right now, but is that anything that you looked into yet?
I haven't looked into it yet, no. You got to think of different names around the league. I'm sure there's a lot of backs that have retired recently that have been looking into trying to be something like that. Running backs coach is something that you can fill from a former player. Obviously, that's a trend with how the staff has been built, and that wouldn't surprise me if they bring in somebody like that to try to, keep that trend going, keep the locker room pretty loose.
Do you have a good name off the top, of a former running back that you would like to throw
Maybe
in?
Matt Forte.
Matt Forte. Is he coaching?
I don't know what he's doing, but I know he's always been he was a very good back in the league. He's a very intelligent football mind, so Matt Forte would be a guy I would look at, see what he's doing.
This possible candidate comes the way of Pride of Detroit, and they've recommended, or they've have a list of a couple guys, but one that's a former Detroit Lion, former player. Obviously, that's how this staff's kind of being built. Former running back Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith, I see that.
Yeah, as of now, he is the running back coach for UCF. It looks like, for Miami. However, his merits go beyond the family with the franchise. He's been in the coaching ranks since 2015. He's quickly gone from UCF to Florida Atlantic to Ole Miss and now Miami, showing that he's been rising the ranks pretty quickly. Notably, he coached under Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic and followed him to Ole Miss. He's only 36 years old. That's the name that's out there. The name on this list that interests me the most was they mentioned Jeff Nixon, which was the assistant head coach and running back coach for Carolina. Now, we all witnessed...
Poach him back!
yeah. But we witnessed Carolina run the Detroit Lions over badly.
Yes.
And that was in the game all. Mind you, at this point in the season, too, the Detroit Lions running defense was creeping up there amongst like some of the best.
Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, shutting players down.
Yeah.
And they got dominated on the ground by Carolina with Chuba Hubbard and Dante Foreman.
And I guess the link between Detroit and Jeff Nixon, outside of obviously them hiring Frank Reich to become their new head coach, is he was a running back coach for Miami when Dan Campbell was interim head coach for Miami. So there's your connection right there. I mean, just based off merits of and witnessing the Carolina Panthers run all over the Detroit Lions, that'd be my pick.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I King Horse says Kevin Smith or Del McGee. Rich Adams says, how about Barry Sanders? Barry Sanders isn't good. Barry Sanders is not going to be a running backs coach.
Yeah, Barry Sanders not really like a vocal guy.
No,
you know, I couldn't really see him wanting to coach outside of like helping out like here and there. You know what I'm saying?